Good morning. So I am going to share a little bit with you about meal planning and some tips that you can use as you meal plan this week. For next week. So what I do is I printed off this meal plan template. It is in our group, so you can find that under meal plan template using containers. And then on the sides, so for day one, so for Monday, I just wrote what I have going on that day. And then for Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then Thursday, and then Friday we're free. So we're pretty good. But those are the things that interrupt our day. So like dance class, we have dance class on Monday nights from 5:15 to 5:45. So that's obviously going to interrupt supper. And so I'm going to have to think ahead and make sure that I have something either crock pot started, ready to go, so when we get home we can eat, or I have something quick planned, because if I plan like something like lasagna, it's going to interrupt how quickly we eat. The kids are going to be crazy, and then I might be more likely to just choose something unhealthy because it's quick and easy. And so we want to make sure we plan ahead for those times. So the first thing that I do is I typically eat the same things every day or every other day. The reason I do that is just for ease. I always used to be that person that did not like to eat the same things 2 days in a row. But right now, it's just easier for me in my life than to try to plan something different for every day. That's just too much of a hassle. And so I'd rather eat the same things. And I've gotten so used to it, it really doesn't even bother me anymore. So the first thing, the easiest thing for me to plug in is my shake. I'm going to have that as my snack. And so I'm going to have it as my, let's see, do I want to do it for my morning snack or my afternoon snack? Let me do it for my morning snack. Well, no, I take that back. Let me do it for my afternoon, because usually what I do is then I drink it when I'm sitting there with my kids at gymnastics on Tuesdays or at dance. That way I'm not snacking on anything unhealthy. So I am going to plug in my shake. So I'm going to write shake. And then what am I going to have it with? Well, I'm going to drink my shake with I'm going to do this cinnamon roll recipe. So that only thing that is in that is peanut butter with some seasonings, and those are free. So peanut butter, but I'm also going to add spinach because I need another place to include my veggies, because sometimes I run out of time for veggies, or I don't really want them for a snack. So I just wrote for my afternoon snack on Monday, I just wrote shake with peanut butter and spinach. And then I'm going to mark over here which containers that falls under. So my shake is a red, it's a protein. My spinach is a green, it's a veggie. And then peanut butter is a teaspoon. Okay, so I just marked, you can either put a check mark, you can put a 1, you can do whatever. I do a 1 or a 2 or something like that, because if I happen to have maybe I want a salad, and it's hard for me to eat just a cup of veggies. And so maybe I want a little extra, so I'll do like a 1.5, or maybe your recipe is only like 3/4 of a cup of a red or something. That doesn't work great, but maybe it's only half of a red. And that way, you can notate that on there so you fill in the other half somewhere else. So there, my shake is completely done. That's the easiest meal to plan. So that's what's nice about the shake. So breakfast is really easy for me too. I always eat a protein, and so I'm going to have an egg with toast and peanut butter. So my egg would be a red, it's a protein. And then my toast would be a yellow, and then my peanut butter would be a teaspoon. So again, I just wrote that down, and then I added the little tallies over here, okay? And then I'm going to plan dinner next. That's the hardest one. Then that way I know what to fill in for lunch and my morning snack. So for dinner, we always have a green, always, no matter what. And we always have a protein, a red, and we typically almost always have a yellow. So the way that I decide what I want to cook is I use my foods list for the program that I'm doing. This one just happens to be 21 Day Fix, but you need to go into the program that you are going to be working on and look what their foods list is, because some of the foods change. Most of them are typically the same, but so you can use that to plug in different ideas. And you can also use our Fix8 program, use that. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of recipes on there. So you can use that. You can also go onto Beachbody's website and you can look up recipes that way. There's tons of recipes there. You can look in the blog. There's tons of recipes there. And you can also use Pinterest. So those are several different ways you can find recipes. And what I do, or what I did when I first started, is I created a 3-ring binder where I kept everything. And then that way it was all together and it was easy to find. And so inside, it's a little unorganized now because I don't really use it as much anymore, but like I would have my foods list, and then see, here's my foods list for 80 day. Here's my foods list for lift 4. And then these are just old meal plans. And I keep all my old meal plans because you never know when you're going to come up on a week where you're like, whoa, I don't have time. It's a crazy week. And so I need to just pull out an old one and just use that. And so that's very helpful. If I would have been smart, I would have kept grocery lists, which I never did. So I would highly suggest doing that. I also have kept, even when I just did scratch food meal planning, that's what I did. And it's on the back of my grocery list. So, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can seriously just be scribbled on notes. I will say that when I look back at some of my earlier times, I can see, how I've gotten better now that I'm not, it's a little bit different, like I've gotten better at doing this. So that's nice. I also have like lists of different options. I'm not sure, not finding it right now, but I have lists of different choices. So for breakfast, different things that I could choose for breakfast that are healthy options. Here's some different supper recipe or supper ideas that I have written down that I can plug in easily. Somewhere I had a list of snacks because sometimes snacks can be trickier. And so I used to keep it inside this drawer, but see, I don't plan at the computer anymore like I used to. And so it changes things a little bit more. I'm not as organized. But anyway, I would suggest that you keep a running list that you just keep adding to for each meal, so then you have ideas. And then I would also suggest, as you're starting out, that you print out the recipes. See, here's tons more of different meal plans that I've done. Just lots of meal plans. And it's funny to look at the different meal plan templates that I used as well. Sorry, I'm not feeling very well. And, but I would highly suggest that you print off the different recipes, so then you can make little notes on there, and then you have them in a binder and you can just look through those as you go along each week too. So that will make it a little less overwhelming also. So I am going to go through this with you. I'm going to try to make this video not too long. So I'm only going to do a couple days. And then if you have questions, you can let me know and I'll be glad to answer those questions, obviously. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And like I said, the different places that I go for recipe ideas. Oh, another place too is whatever program you're doing, there's different recipes usually added into those programs too. So you can go into, like, let's say you're doing 21 Day Fix. I'll go back. If you're doing 21 Day Fix and you go to program materials and then you go to nutrition, and then I think it's under eating, here's the foods list. That would be helpful for you. And then, like, let's say if you go into eating plan, I think at the back of here, you'll find, yeah, right here, you'll find recipes and ideas and stuff too. So here's the foods list again. And then, where is it? Yeah, here's recipes, different recipes for things. So use those. There's tons of ideas there. So use those to help you, especially when you're just getting started. So then and it says what the container counts it are, so then that's helpful too. So there's all kinds of different options. So we're gonna go into Fixate. Under the nutrition tab, and then there's Fixate. It's changed since I've been on it. So I'm going to go to resources. And if you go to resources, here's recipes, and you can get the recipe list. You can also go to videos and look. This is an easier way if my computer wants to work today. Nobody wants to work today, it looks like. So if you go to videos, this would be a quick, easy way for you to go search for recipes rather than just going into the recipe list, because they're sorted out by like breakfast, entrees, sides, snacks, and so on. She also gives you tips, all of these tips that you can use to help you. So we've already got breakfast planned, so we're gonna go into entrees because we want supper. And so if you look through here, like this almond crusted chicken, that looks yummy. And see, it tells you right here, 1 green, 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 teaspoon. So then you don't have to go into the recipe necessarily right now and do it. Although I will say that as I plan, I like to have another sheet right next to me where I'm adding on a grocery list. So I like to make a list as I go along. So like right now, I know that I planned eggs for supper or for breakfast, and I need eggs. I ate the last one today. Avery, I'm on the video. I'm almost done, honey. And then I'll also need bread because we run out of bread. We have to get bread every week, and I need that for toast. So I'm going to keep track of those things right here. I have spinach, I have peanut butter, and then I obviously have my shake. So I'm going to look at this almond crusted chicken, and I think I'm going to add that to our dinner. So almond crusted chicken. And then I know that it's 1 green, 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 teaspoon. And so I've gotten that one done. So I can also click, I believe. Please. Sorry, I have already talked to her about. There's the recipe right there. So I can look on here and look. I've got the almond flour. I have garlic powder. I have lemon zest. I have all of these things. I have the chicken breast, I have the olive oil, and I'll have to get some raw mixed vegetables, so I need some mixed veggies. So I'm going to write that down on my grocery list. And then on my, so that gives me a whole meal right there in itself. And so then I'm going to write under the links and on my meal planning sheet, I'm going to write that I got it off Fixate. Now, typically what I did when I first started is this is the time I would print this. I'm not going to do it because it will be loud, but this is when I would print this out so it's ready, it's in my binder, and I'm ready to go. Please don't, Avery, that's loud. And then another thing that I forgot to tell you that I do is I write the number of containers that I'm allotted on the top of my page. So then I can make sure that I'm not going over those. So I write it right here. Now the reason that I don't already have this plugged in is because those change. So I want to write them each week so I know. So I already have my blue. So I'm done with blue. So I'm going to write down under the total, I'm going to write 1 and I'm going to circle it. So I know that I'm done with my blues. I use that for my supper. I can't have another blue because I'm only allotted 1 blue. And so I'm going to write 1 and circle it. The reason I circle it is so then I can see that it's different than all these others, so it stands out. So that lets me know that don't choose another recipe with a blue. Now I need to plan my lunch. And so for lunch, I can either plan my lunch or I can go and plan the rest of the dinners for the rest of the week and then go back in and plug in my lunch, which is typically what I do. And so I'm going to go back out of this and I'm going to look through some of these and see if I can see anything else that I think sounds good for dinners. And then that way I've got my dinners taken care of, and then I can fill in my lunch easily. This cheesy steak skillet looks good. It's a green, a red, a yellow, a blue, and a teaspoon, and I could easily do that. I think I'm gonna do that. So I'm going to, for day 2 on, actually I'm not gonna do that on day 2. I'm gonna do that one on Thursday because on Tuesday we have gymnastics until 5:30, and so that won't work. So I want to do a crock pot meal on that night. My dog is chewing on one of my decorations. So I'm going to fill in cheesy steak skillet, and I got it from Fixate, so I know where to find it, or I would go and print the recipe, which I feel like is a better option. And then I'm going to fill in the container count. 1 green, 1 red, 1 yellow, and I can do a blue on Thursday because that's a different day. So I can do a blue again, 1 blue and 1 teaspoon, but that does mean then I filled my blues for Tuesday, and so I can't, or for Thursday, so I can't, anywhere else in the day, I can't eat a blue. So if you look here, I have written that down right here. First, that's my dinner. I can also, for that day, I can also add in my shake with peanut butter and spinach. And then I can fill in the container counts for that. And then I can also fill in my my breakfast because I'm going to have the same thing every day. It's just easier. And so that's a red, a yellow, and a teaspoon. And I could do that for all of the days. I could fill those in. I'm not going to take your time in doing that, but I just want to make sure that I fill those in so I can get the right number of container counts. Now I'm going So to open up this recipe and look and see what I need to buy. So I need to buy skirt steak, and I'm adding this to my grocery list. I have onion, I have pepper, I have garlic. I have the brown rice already. I don't think I have chicken broth. I think I'm out. So I'm gonna add that. I need the frozen cut green beans. And I have carrots already, so I'm good there. And I have cheese. So I have all of that already. So I'm going to print this out at this time, but I'm due to noise, I'm not going to. But if I were meal planning, just normally, these chicken enchiladas look good. Let's see, half a green, half a purple, 1 red, 1 yellow. So I might do that on Friday. So chicken enchiladas. Now, since it says, and it's from the Fix It group, since it says half of a green, I need to make sure that I fulfill the other half of the green at a different time of that day, of Friday. So it's half of a green, half of a purple, same there. 1 red, 1 yellow, 1 blue, and 1.5 teaspoons. So I need to make sure I watch that too. So I've fulfilled my blue containers for the day, for Friday, because I'm only allowed 1. And I have that written in there on Friday. Now, I need a crock pot meal for Tuesday. So I'm going to go in to my Pinterest because I have crock pot meals saved. I also have all of these 21 Day Fix meals here. So feel free to go to my Pinterest and look at those. Some of them I have accidentally put in the wrong spot, so make sure you check it out so you don't so I don't mess you up. But here is one that would work fine in a crock pot. So I could do something like this. It's 21 Day Fix, so it should already, if I click on it, it should already give me container counts down here. So I'm going to look and see, yes, it says 1 red, 1 green, and half of the yellow. So I'm going to do this stuffed pepper soup, and I'm going to do that in the crock pot. I'm going to notate that, stuffed pepper soup. And then I would need to print this one because it might get confusing of where I got this, but I'm going to go to 21 Day Fix Pinterest is where the link is. And then I know it's 1 red, 1 green, and half of a yellow. And so I've entered that into my food or into my meal plan, and I need to write down, I have ground turkey, I need bell peppers. I can't use mushrooms because my husband doesn't like mushrooms. But that would account for part of my veggie, so I need to replace that with something. So either I use more of something, or I, maybe I put in more peppers, or maybe I put in some celery or something like that. So I'm going to write celery. I have onion, I have tomato sauce, I have diced onion. I need beef broth. So I'm going to write that next to my chicken broth. And it looks like I have the rest of the stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop there with the meal planning. And then I'm going to go back to me so you can see me. And then I'm going to fill in the rest of Monday just so you can see how I add up all my containers. So I need another green because I need 2 more greens, because right now I have a green for my shake and a green for my supper, but I don't have a green anywhere else. So I need a green for lunch and a green for my snack. So I'm gonna write a 1 there and a 1 there in the green column. I don't have any purples yet, and then that fills me up for my veggie. That gives me all 4 veggies. So I'm gonna write 4 at the bottom with a circle. And I just know that I need to make sure that I have a green at lunch and a green in my morning snack. Now, I don't have any purples yet. So I need to add some fruit. So I'm going to add fruit to my breakfast. And I just write fruit. I don't specify what fruit it is because I just always buy a lot of fruit. So I always make sure I have apples and bananas on hand. I'll try to have, like strawberries or some kind of berry on hand. I typically will try to have an orange on hand, those types of things. So then I just know that those are options for me. And then that way, if I run out of the fruit throughout the week, it's fine. Or if I want to switch it up, it's fine. I'm not stuck to this plan. Like, if I just generalize it, then at least I don't feel so stuck. Okay. So I'm going to have my fruit with my breakfast. And then I have 2 more fruits left because I get 3 fruits per day. And so I'm going to for sure have a fruit at my morning snack. And then I can have a fruit with supper. And that gives me 3. So I need to add fruit to my supper. And then I need to figure out what my snack is going to be for my morning snack. So what I think I'm going to do is have maybe some, let's see. I only have 1 protein left. So I typically will, like if I have a veggie and a fruit, which is kind of an odd combination, then I'll have carrots and an apple with some ricotta dip. And ricotta is the protein. And then I dip both things in there and it's really good. So that's a choice. But since I don't want to do that, and I can't use hummus because I'm using my blue container for supper. So I might do something like just have, like carrots with a dip, like a Italian dressing or something, because I still have my orange container left. And then I might have also like another fruit next to it with it. And so I've used my orange container, so I'm going to put 1 in a circle around it. And let's see, for lunch, what I might have is I might have tacos because I'm allowed a veggie, I'm allowed a protein, I'm allowed a yellow. So I'm going to have tacos. And then that fulfills my veggie, my protein. So I filled up my proteins and a yellow. And I might also, let's see, I have another yellow. So I could even add in some like Spanish rice if I wanted to do that. So tacos with rice for another yellow. And then that fills up my carbs also. So the only one I haven't filled up yet is my teaspoon. So I need to figure out a place to add. But one thing that I do often do is I forget that teaspoon is also using olive oil. So most likely I'm going to use olive oil, either when I make the almond crusted chicken, or I'm going to use olive oil when I make my egg, or I could also add in a little extra peanut butter to my shake, which I typically do anyway. And so I always add in a little bit more than what a teaspoon actually is. So that's another place that you can fulfill that teaspoon if you end up having a lot of teaspoons. So I'm going to just add a little extra to my shake because my container counts were already there for the almond crusted chicken. So as long as I follow the recipe, then they've already told me what the container counts are for that. So I don't need to add any more containers for that. So that's how that would look. You can see when I'm having each meal, you can see what I'm doing that day that might interfere with my meal plan. And then you can see what containers I'm eating for each meal, and then how many containers I'm having for my day. Okay. Now I need to make sure I have water with each meal. That way I am fulfilling some of my water count. I also need to drink water with my workout, and then I can make sure that I'm getting my water count in for the day. I also have a grocery list started. That way I'm only buying what I absolutely need. Then I'll add my kids' stuff to it and my husband's stuff to it. But then that way we're not spending a bunch of money, because a lot of people's worry is that they're going to spend a lot more money by eating healthy. And you're really not, as long as you're meal planning, because you're only buying what you need. And so you might have a little extra on hand, but you really are not. I actually save money by meal planning and by eating healthy, which is awesome because groceries can get expensive. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. But like I said, make sure you're doing your grocery list alongside. Make sure you're writing down the ideas. So after I would get done doing all of this, then I would have my piece of paper for my snacks ideas, and I would add any snacks that are new to them. So then next week, when I can't think of a snack, then I can pull out that snacks list and I can say, oh, well, I could do this or I could do this. And then also make sure that you are printing out your recipes as you go along. You can also write different things to them, like maybe you had this stuffed peppers recipe that you cooked and you liked it, but maybe you wanted to add a little more heat to it. And so you want to change that. And so you would write a little note on there. So the next time you make it, or maybe it's one that you guys don't like, so you just toss it. Or maybe it's one that one of your kids liked, but the other kid didn't, and so you need to make a note on that. Just different things like that will help you along the way. Also, we've talked about make sure you're pairing a protein with a complex carb. That will give you the most energy. That will help you burn your fat. So just doing different things like that. And it's a learning process. So it's going to start out kind of rough, and you'll get better at it as time goes. But it really should not take you any longer than 30 to 45 minutes to do this. And if it's taking longer, then maybe take some time, when you have some downtime to save some recipes or to mark some recipes that you'd like to have. That way you're not, the most time is searching for the recipes. That way you're not having to do that during the meal plan process, and it's not overwhelming to you. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm always here for you, of course. So I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.